optimized to launch 2 satellites at once with its heavy launch weight, and it does have a built-in structure that helps launch 2 satellites at once into slightly different orbits. This being a 4-satellite launch, and actually the Ariane 5 used to launch Galileo satellites is somewhat customized for this Galileo purpose, since Ariane 5 is going to launch quite a few Galileo launches, so this is worth the work.
Pour moins 1 minute.
The boosters, coming up to 1 minute.
Top page 0 moins 1 minute.
We are 1 minute to launch. We're live at the Arianespace Center for the launch of 4 satellites for Europe's Galileo satellite navigation constellation for the European Space Agency and the European Commission, built by a consortium led by OHB, and they're traveling on board the 240th Ariane 5 heavy lifter. Our very best wishes to all the teams. Let's sit back now and watch the launch.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage Vulcain. Allumage des 2 EAP et décollage Ariane 240 Galileo Falcon 7.
And we have liftoff.
La propulsion est nominale.
The rocket now already approaching
Tous les paramètres à bord
speed of
sont
sound.
There
with
they
its
go. Blazing a trail across the sky here over the spaceport, the Arianespace Center. We're heading northeast out over the Atlantic Ocean, and we can hear
La
the
trajectoire est
launcher
nominale.
as she flies over us here. We're about 20 kilometers from that pad. We reached Mach 1 after 45 seconds when we broke the sound barrier.
And Mach 2 now.
And right now, it's the boosters that are doing all the
Tous les
work.
paramètres à bord sont normaux.
She's telling us that everything on board is going to plan. They are providing 90% of our thrust right now. That's the equivalent of 12 jet engines, and their job is to push us away from the gravity of our planet. We need a lot of firepower to do that.
Est nominale.
She's telling us that the propulsion is going normally. Each booster is burning 2 tons of propellant per second, and that's roughly the equivalent of what an average car would use in a year, and they're using it in a second. Unbelievably, those boosters are burning at roughly 3,000 degrees Celsius, and yet the main stage is
La
burning
trajectoire est nominale.
cryogenic propellant, which is at absolute zero. It's the coldest temperature you can get. So you can just imagine the complexities of balancing and keeping those 2 temperatures next to each other, the extremely hot and the extremely cold. It's a feat of human
Séparation des
engineering.
2 EAP, la
And
trajectoire
booster
est nominale.
separation.
And she's announcing separation now of those 2 boosters. We don't need them anymore, and they can be jettisoned. There they go. Those were cameras on a previous launch. We've lost about 3/4 of our weight. The lighter we are, the faster we can go. And we're now burning the main stage. It's that grey section. It's a huge tank of cryogenic propellant, which is liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. It burns for about 9 minutes.
Tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
And In a minute, we'll be looking at the launcher again, and we'll be able to see what we call a fairing. That's the front, the nose, if you like, of the launch vehicle.
La propulsion est nominale, tous les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
Oh, she's telling us that everything is normal. Everything's going according to plan. So there you can see the fairing. That's the nose, the pointy bit of the launcher, and the fairing is the section which protects. And this protects the launchers, the satellites, from the riggers of the launch. Those riggers include the acoustic vibrations at liftoff. You can just imagine there that it's very loud. So our satellites are now exposed to space. We took off, you can see there, from the northeastern coast of South America, and Galileo is the... She's telling us that everything's going according to plan still. Galileo is the tracking station here at the Guyana spaceport, and you can see we're traveling northeast. SNA is the next tracking station to pick us up. That's a boat in the middle of the Atlantic, and then we'll be heading up towards the northwestern coast of Europe, and we'll be picking up the signal at the Azores. Let's find out more now about today's mission.
So we are now officially in space on a suborbital trajectory, though.
For
now
this 11th,
the rocket still has to reach a stable orbit and then get to a geostationary transfer orbit, where the satellites will be deployed on a semi-geostationary orbit.
Arianespace today reaffirms its company's important role in supporting European governments and institutions with independent, reliable, and available access to space.
This launch will place in orbit 4 more satellites in a series of 22 manufactured by OHB in Germany, embarking payloads provided by SSTL in the UK. 5 Fox satellite launches have already been carried out by Soyuz launchers, each delivering 2 satellites into orbit.
For this launch, a second Ariane 5 ES version dedicated to Galileo mission will be used, with in particular a different upper stage called EPS.